Imagine Museveni, Obote and Amin are seated on a round table discussing issues concerning Uganda. Today, I must emphasize on this, that Opeitum Filbert is neither a politician nor an agent of any religion. So I'm not sharing my thoughts as a member of NRM, FDC, NUP, JEMA, DP, UPC, to mention but a few, nor an agent of Christianity, Islam, or Hindu. In fact, not even as a student, because if I was one, the problems facing us today would not exist. But I'm sharing my thoughts as I was born a patriot, a Pan-Africanist, and a victim of tribalism in Uganda. Today, I'm sharing my thoughts not to change anybody, but to make us start thinking. Please, I call upon the citizens of this country, known as Uganda, to imagine with me. Let's take this moment and we start imagining that the current president of Uganda, His Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is seated on a round table with the two former presidents of this country, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, one, the first prime minister of this country, and Idi Amin Dada, the field marshal, the conqueror of the British Empire, the economic freedom fighter, discussing on the issues of the progress of this country. Imagine with me, a country Uganda would be with the combination of the thoughts of these three critical thinkers. Imagine with me a country Uganda would be with the thoughts of Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, whose quest for unity was expressed in 1967 when he declared Uganda a republic, plus the thoughts of His Excellency Idi Amin Dada Oume, the conqueror of the British Empire, the field marshal, the economic freedom fighter, whose pure independence for Uganda was on a high rate when he chased all the foreigners from Uganda in the year 1972, who had dominated the economy of this country, and he wanted the people of Uganda to dominate their economy. Plus the love for patriotism of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, which was expressed in the year 1986 when he took power, when he said that this is not a mere change of guns, but a fundamental change in Uganda. And he said that the terrifying history of Uganda when it comes to transition of power, which is characterized by destruction of property, shedding of blood, and the killing of thousands of Ugandans, will remain as history to the people of Uganda. Imagine a country of greatness like this. I see a country which is self-dependent, unified, prosperous, and progressive in all aspects. A Uganda with the national language, where being a Karamojong, an Itesot, a Sebei, a Mugisu, a Musoga, a Muganda, Amuchiga, and Alur, and Acholi, Elangi, Emunyankole is celebrated, but being a Ugandan and an African is celebrated from the bottom of our hearts. I see that Uganda. I see a Uganda whose rule of law prevails or surpasses the rule of individuals. I see a country whose democracy is practiced with integrity. I see a country which can facilitate its national budget without borrowing from external sources. I see a Uganda whose political leaders are aware of the true meaning of politics, being a question of competition of ideas, but not a question of life and death. I see a country whose political leaders know how one is determined in the field of politics, that one, in the remembrance of the words of the late President of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, may his soul rest in peace, when he said, in politics one is declared successful until his successor succeeds. I see such a Uganda. I look forward to the day in Uganda where rule of law prevails the rule of individuals. Where in our constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, we have a provision of the term limit of the president, which will enable us as Ugandans to have a long list of the retired presidents living in Uganda. And in case the sitting president is confused of any matter, he will be able to seek guidance from the long list of those presidents living in Uganda, which is like a myth in this country. I look forward to that day. I look forward to the day in Uganda where a neutral language is spoken from Karamoja to Teso, to Bugisu, to Acholi, to Lango, to Sebe, to Busoga, to Buganda, to Bunyoro, to Toro, to Rwenzururu, to Ankole, to mention but a few, to ease communication, which is a uniting factor in all relationships on planet Earth, which will enable us to identify our problems and find solutions as a family in affection, living in charity, love, and sharing among ourselves. I look forward to that day. As I conclude, I take this opportunity to remind all African citizens that the time is now we start thinking for ourselves and find solution to our problems, because no one is coming for our rescue. Even God is not going to come and help us, because he created us with the minds to think for the solutions and the hands to execute those solutions. Mother Teresa of Calcutta was right when she said that when you enter into a room which is full of darkness, do not complain of the dirt, light a candle, and tell your neighbor also to light a candle, and remind your neighbor also to tell his or her neighbor to light a candle. Lo and behold, when all of you have lit the candle, darkness will be conquered. Ralph Waldo Emerson was also right when he said, when you go to any village and you find the village is too dirty, don't complain of the dirt. Start by sweeping your front yard. And tell your neighbor also to sweep their front yard. And let your neighbor also tell his or her neighbor to sweep their front yard. Lo and behold, when all of you are done sweeping, that village will be clean. The message to us here as Ugandans and Africans is that when you find your country is infected by the demons of selfishness, greed, corruption, discrimination, nepotism, tribalism, and disunity, you start by sweeping your front yard and tell your neighbor also to sweep their front yard. Even though we are impressed with the demands of African Agenda 2063. Thank you for listening. May God bless you abundantly.